right, this is what I'm calling Sunday school, and this is the best my back has been in 3 weeks. So let's see if I can blow it out, learning and playing some of the hunters. This is, I've named this Sunday school, and I have to remember this is live and I can't go back and start over. All right. I've named this Sunday school because it is in fact Sunday, go figure. And we're going to be learning. This is a how to learn to play a war game type video. And we'll be learning how to play the hunters. In the previous videos, I always state, this is not a video which you will watch and learn how to play the game, etc., etc. This video is, in fact, a video you will watch in order to help you learn the game. Now, we'll go through this together. I played this long ago. It's been a long time. So I am, you will hear hunks of rust falling off and hitting the ground as I run through this. But again, this would be a good game to run through and allow you guys to see, especially for those of you that are probably intimidated by games or are unsure about how to approach them. When it comes to learning them, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but we'll learn how I do it. So the first thing is to run through the contents when you get a game such as this. Run through the contents, familiarize yourself with the components, make sure everything's there, and just get it, like I said, just get a kind of familiarity for the things that are in the box. And don't panic. That's always important. You will see things and you have no idea what they are, what they will be used for. You will see a rule book that perhaps seems intimidating or daunting. Just breathe. All is well. Just know that you will digest this in little bits, and in doing so, will have the complete total game under your belt in no time. So with this game you get, and some of it's already punched, you'll get a counter sheet, just one. And this is the first game in the series, again, known as the Hunters. Other games in the series include The Hunted and Silent Victory and Beneath the Med, if memory serves. A fantastic series and a great game, this specifically, The Hunters, to learn and play if you are interested in solo games and are interested in quality, well-written rule books. So some games you pull out and you may have trouble learning it. It may not be your fault. That is because the rule book is written so poorly you can't learn it. Case in point, this. When this came out, many folks shared their dismay, wondering what in the hell is wrong with me that I can't figure this out and learn this game. It's supposed to be simple, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't you. It was, in fact, the way the rules were written. That said, not the case with the Hunters. This game is about as close, and I've said this before, about as close to perfection as you can get. So bear that in mind. And with this rule book, you're only looking at, let's see here, how many real pages of rules. And again, they're written out so concisely and clearly, really is not a problem. Once you get to page about 18 pages, but again, it's not 18 pages of a thick gruel that you have to run through. This is, again, because they're well written, everything is spaced out in a clear manner. So no problem there. And then you get your, as we run through the components here, you get your Patrollog Sheet, which will keep track of your patrols. You have an encounter chart. You have target type ship charts, 1, 2, 3 of those. And then another chart over here, which you can't see. Lots of charts. Chart-driven game here. This is your U-boat damage and repair chart. This guy here. You have your random events chart. Random events always flavor the game up real nice. Your U-boat chart, so the type of U-boat you want, and there are a number of types to choose from. We'll be using this, unless something about an intro scenario suggests we use something else, but that's the type 1XB or 9B, I guess you would call it. Or would that be 11B? Anyway, your U-boat patrol assignment, aircraft encounters, flak attack versus aircraft, U-boat torpedo deck gunfire chart, etc., and your U-boat combat map. All this, which we will get to in due time. Your dice. You get a number of D6 and a couple, it looks like D10. And you're good to go. So, as you run through this, you've got your introduction, which I will skip. How to play the game, which is a basic overview of what to expect. I will skip that as well for time purposes. But key points include the object of the game, which really is to sink tonnage, sink ships, and stay alive yourself. General overview. It revolves around conducting numerous patrol assignments, conducting patrols, U-boat refit, and end of the game. So let's hop right into, and this is probably going to be time consuming. This is not going to be something that we will be jumping right into playing, because this is a Sunday school class. We're learning how to play the game. So game equipment, you've got your U-boat display mat, which is this here. Okay, there, and what else? Regarding the U-boat display mat, we have 8 U-boat display mats provided. That's the combat mat. So this is the display mat. This guy here. 8 of those. And corresponds to each German U-boat type available, along with named patrol tracks containing individual travel boxes to track the progress of your patrol. This mat helps track the status of your crew and systems, including available armaments at your disposal. Select the appropriate display mat corresponding to the U-boat type you have selected for play, which I have done. This mat is the centerpiece when conducting gameplay and carrying out patrol assignments. The use of this mat is explained in the appropriate rules section. Then your U-boat combat mat, which is in fact this. Once you run into enemy ships, you'll switch to this guy and use him rigorously. Is used to resolve combat against shipping targets and is typically set beside your U-boat display mat during play, which I have not done. Shame on me. The use of this mat is explained in the appropriate rules section. Then you have your playing pieces. You have to say it like that. There are 174 playing pieces. You won't use all of them, I should add, for one patrol. These playing pieces are referred to as markers and are placed on either the U-boat display mat to track status of your U-boat and crew, or the U-boat combat mat when resolving combat. Markers are provided for individual ships, aircraft, crew members, individual torpedoes, ammo rounds, random events, and the status of crew and systems. By the way, happy Mother's Day out there to all the mothers watching. I know I get a lot of those on my videos. How to read the markers. The Hunter's Countermix provides markers to track the status of your U-boat and for resolving engagements. These markers may include information, I would hope so, such as die roll modifiers to facilitate play. An explanation of each marker type is explained below. So, game markers. We have our U-boat proper, which lists the model and start date. Not necessarily imperative that we run through them now, but maybe I will. Assuming I can find it in a relatively timely manner. I don't know what these blanks are for. I wonder what ship I used last time I played. I guess that's whatever I find in the countermix, no? Yes, no, maybe so. Not seeing it, though. See target ships. Maybe I didn't use one. I don't know if it's imperative that you use that. Is it? Anyway, let's move along. Wasting too much time. Officer rank. You have 5 numbered officer rank markers, and they're ranked from 1 being the lowest to 5 being the highest. You have medals and rewards. Not going to worry too much about that right now. Your crew quality, which has a die roll modifier and a skill level. The crew quality corresponds, of course, to the experience and performance of your crew. Your crew begins at trained level. Do I have one of those? Yes. I have one of those. We'll put this over here, crew quality. There we go. We are trained. We do not go in the house. What else? Random events. While most random events are resolved immediately, some can be used later during play, and these markers should be placed on the U-boat display mat until used. Armaments include, of course, torpedoes, ammo, rounds, and special mission markers. Damage. These markers are provided to track hull damage, flooding level, and any possible damage to engines and other systems. These markers are only placed on your U-boat display mat when damage occurs. So I suppose there's a Brett Hull marker for the amount of alcohol he has drank. Crew status, light wound, serious wound, and killed in action. Specialized crew member, let's see, die roll modifier is what is listed on the marker. Crew status markers are provided to track severity of injury or KIA results. Specialized crew members can also rise to expert level, which provides certain benefits during play. Then we have combat markers of varying type. Markers provided for the U-boat combat mat when resolving encounters. These markers include day or night, range of engagement, wolf pack patrols, type of ships targeted, and markers for escort and aircraft quality. Please note that torpedo and ammo markers will be expended and moved from your U-boat display to the combat mat when resolving combat. Also, mnemonic aid for markers to facilitate play. Some markers display 1 or more die roll modifiers to serve as a reminder. And then it lists a key below that describes each modifier type. These modifiers are listed on the associated charts and tables. Now, there's another way. I am just starting right in and digesting rules. Another way that has been suggested to do this is just lightly gloss over the rules first and then hop into it. It's just whatever you're comfortable doing. Again, I've just jumped right in head first. Charts and tables. 4 two-sided player aid cards are provided to facilitate gameplay and resolve game functions. Now, a handy habit to get into regarding charts and tables. Due to cost, etc., almost all games have charts printed on front and back. You don't want to have to flip charts over constantly during gameplay, so a good habit to get into is to make photocopies and lay them all face up, which I have done here, so you don't have to flip them over to see what you're looking at. So charts and tables, again, 4 two-sided player aid cards are provided to facilitate gameplay and resolve game functions. The use of these charts and displays are explained in the appropriate rules section. When a die roll is called for, each table specifies the die roll combination necessary, which in some cases may include each die representing a different place value. In such instances, use a colored die to distinguish place values. For example, for a roll of 1d10 plus 1d10, the first d10 represents the 10's place value, and the second d10, the 1's place value. Make sense? Good. The Patrollog Sheet. This guy here, this guy here. The Patrollog Sheet is used to record for each game section your U-boat type, ID, and commandant name, along with individual patrol assignments, damaged or sunk ships, and length of refit following each patrol. Feel free to photocopy these sheets as needed or download and print from the company's site. And the game comes with a hefty number of these, but again, depending on how often you play, probably a good idea to keep one blank to reload as needed. Parts inventory, it's going to run through everything included in the game. If something is listed that isn't there, panic. Game setup, general rule. Game setup consists of selecting your U-boat type. So see, already, it's telling you what you need to do to get started playing as the rules move along. Setup consists of selecting your U-boat, which we have done, preparing your log sheet, which we have not done, and placing the corresponding display mat in front of you for initial marker placement prior to conducting your first patrol. You should also have the U-boat combat bat set nearby, as it will be referenced when resolving engagements against enemy shipping. Cases U-boat model selection. Begin by selecting one of the 8 U-boat types that you wish to captain and place the corresponding display mat in front of you. Only one U-boat type should be selected. See the start date to see what U-boat types are available at different start dates. Earlier start dates allow for more patrols, but later dates have more advanced U-boats available. And I have the one that is available via circa April 1940. Not the earliest, but fairly early. Gameplay consists of being commandant of a single U-boat rather than simulating control of multiple U-boats on patrol. Start date. The availability date for the U-boat type will be the start date of your first patrol. I will take this patrol log sheet and write that in April of 1940. 440. U-boat type is B, and the ID, I don't know. Patrol targets, okay. Commandant name, my name will be Hairbrush. Hairbrush. That's my name. So we have done that. Lost my place. Start date. Right, so it lists a little chart here. And of course, April 40 for our boat. You may be reassigned or elect to choose a newer model. We're not going to worry about that. Prepare Patrollog Sheet. Prepare a narrative of your U-boat career by recording the following information. U-boat type, which we have done. ID, this is designated as U and the numbers. I am still not seeing that. I see type, but I'm not understanding ID. What am I missing here with the ID? Moving along. And that's another thing to bear in mind. If there's something that doesn't suss out or make sense at first glance, don't fret about it and spend an hour worrying about that. Continue to read through the rules, and maybe it'll be clarified as you move along. So bear that in mind as well. Prepare Patrollog Sheet. And then the Commandant, which we have done. This is the name you select. The log sheet is used to capture. And I think I remember there's a random, I don't even know if it's still around. There was a random German name selection thing that you could go to a site for this game just for giggles and randomly grab some weird German name. More about the log sheet. Log sheet should be fairly self-explanatory. U-boat display mat setup. All right, how do we do this? U-boat display mat, this guy here. Place in front of you. Yes, we have done that. You will reference it. I'm sure we will. Initially place the following markers on your display mat. Place either the Oberleutnant zur or Kapitan Lieutenant marker in the rank box. This is your starting rank. Well, which one do we place? The Oberleutnant or the Kapitan? And where are these? Like that. Is that what we want? What is this? This is the Oberleutnant. We'll place that in there. He is a 1, I believe. Rank. Put that on the rank, I presume. And we have, what do we have? We have place the train crew quality, which we have done. We are trained. Place your U-boat marker in the import refit box. I couldn't find that earlier. I'm not sure. Is this? Yeah, this is me. Import Place it where? Import refit box. Place it in your U-boat marker in the import refit box. Place the appropriate torpedo and deck gun ammo markers in the armament section of your display mat. And again, this is a little easier for me because I already have punched out what I need. So it'll take a little less time than it might take for an unpunched, unplayed game. Running through these and grabbing them. Have them place them where? Forward torpedo. Place the mark in the armaments section. Where is our armaments section? Not sure where the armaments section is currently, but I have reloads, torpedo tubes, deck gun, flak, torpedo tube, aft reloads. I'm not seeing specifically listed armaments section, so I'll place them on the map. And again, this will probably be clarified as we move along. For those of you watching, welcome. I appreciate it. Feel free to say hi. Let yourself be known. All right. Then we have the torpedo load. Commentary. U-boats normally carried a balanced mix of G7s, which are steam, and G7Es, which are electric. What's the difference between steam and electric torpedoes? I think the steam are faster, but they leave a more telltale trail that the target can see, while the electrics are slower, but don't leave much of a wake behind them, or however you want to describe that. I think that's how that works. Let's see. The steams ran a bit faster and were therefore a bit more accurate. The electrics were slower and therefore a bit less likely to hit at longer ranges, but left no telltale wake of steam bubbles to lead the escorts back to the U-boat. Bam! Nailed it. Exactly what they are. This made them better for use during the day in order to decrease the possibility of detection by escort. So we're going to consult the initial torpedo load information in the header section of the display mat and select the total number of torpedo markers that correspond with the total torpedo load count. Would that be corresponding to the forward torpedo tubes and the aft torpedo tube? Just might. Let's see here. So we have 4 in the forward and 2 in the aft, and I'm not going to say that is where we want them. Then we have, you may now alter the mix of G7As and G7Es. I have all G7As, so we won't worry about that. Place the individual torpedo markers in the numbered forward and aft torpedo tube boxes. Only one torpedo marker may be placed per box. Place the remaining torpedo markers in the forward and aft reload boxes. I don't have any left. Okay. Let's see. The total number of torpedoes loaded will always equal the boat's capacity, with one exception, and that is a mine lane special mission. So I don't have any reloads. Why is that? The total number of torpedoes loaded will always equal the boat's capacity. What is my boat's capacity? Well, I think I need more torpedoes because I have no reloads. So there is a nice illustration on the rulebook here, which I will do likewise. And they have their forward G7As loaded up to 4, and that is the capacity of the box. the physical box printed on the display. I will fill that. I will also put the aft reload. I will also put I'm not using E's for simplicity. I'm just using A's for this purposes of this demonstration. Moving on. Torpedoes, once loaded and placed on the display map, may never be swapped out or transferred between forward and aft positions. Once torpedoes are fired from the forward or aft tubes during combat, the tubes may be reloaded. Forward torpedo tubes are reloaded with torpedoes contained in the forward reloads box. Likewise, the aft torpedo tube is reloaded with torpedoes contained in the aft reloads box. So we have 4 reloads for the forward and 1 reload for the aft. And that brings us to reloading can only occur if torpedo markers remain in the corresponding reload box. Once the reload box for a given section is spent, no reload is possible while out on patrol. Initial torpedo load restrictions. Your U-boat should always start with all forward and aft torpedo tubes loaded, which they are, with G7As. Furthermore, Type 7 boats, this is not a Type 7 boat, so we won't worry about that. Type IX, which we have, can only carry a maximum of 6 G7E torpedoes, all of which begin as reloads, but I have all A's. I'm a straight A student here. Ammo markers. The display mat is used to track the total number of ammo rounds available for the deck gun up to its stated capacity. Initially place sufficient ammo markers in the ammo box for the deck gun so the point value equals the total ammo capacity listed. Ammo. 1, 2, 3. 3 is for the deck gun. Each ammo, and initially place sufficient ammo markers in the ammo box for the deck gun. Each ammo marker point value represents 1 ammo round for gunnery combat up to 2 ammo points. Ammo markers are not used for flak guns since they have unlimited ammunition supply. How about that? Yay for that. Unlimited. How to win the game? How do you win this thing here that we're learning? Well, it's funny you should ask. A full game consists of completing numerous patrols, which we won't do during this video. We'll do enough patrols to allow us to do combat, and then we'll quit. But typically, you'll do enough patrols up to and through June of 43, campaign-type scenario deal. The game may end early if your U-boat is sunk, or if you, as commandant, are killed in action, or taken prisoner after scuttling your U-boat. While the results of each patrol may result in promotion and crew advancement, the overall victory level is determined at the end of play based on total tonnage of ships sunk. Cases ending the game ends upon completion of your final patrol. If it is determined after calculating the refit period that your next patrol assignment would commence after June of 43, the game ends. The game immediately ends regardless of date. Should you, as commandant, we've already read this. Why is it listing it again? Once the game is ended, you can determine victory. So, determining victory, consult your log sheet at the end of the play and add up the total tonnage of ships sunk during your career based on the total tonnage of enemy shipping sunk. Your victory level and performance as U-boat commandant can be determined below, and it lists defeat, draw, marginal victory, or substantial victory, and this all, again, is determined by the total tonnage sunk. Also, decisive victory. So if you sink 200,000 plus worth of tonnage, you've achieved a decisive victory. General rule, sequence of play. I wonder if we can just start and run through the sequence of play. Then we go to combat and U-boat damage, crew experience, promotions, decorations, and then optional rules. I think we will just start now. Let's start playing now. Sequence of play. The Hunters adheres to a discrete sequence of play. kind of redundant, for conducting numerous U-boat patrols. At its most abstract level, the sequence revolves around conducting patrols with a refit action at the end of each patrol. While there are no discretely numbered game turns as such, as with other turn-based systems, gameplay is broken down into monthly increments of time as reflected by the log sheet. The game begins on the availability date of the U-boat type selected. Again, that will be April of 1940 for us. And patrols are carried out up through June of 43. After June of 43, the Germans become the hunted, and you need the hunted module. Each patrol takes at least 1 month to complete, while the number of months required to complete refit can vary by circumstance. The following gameplay outline begins once a U-boat has been selected and the corresponding display mat has all markers placed. Here we go, gameplay outline. Determine the patrol assignment. To do that, you consult the U-boat patrol assignment table. U-boat patrol assignment table P1 is the preface number, and that is in fact P1. Let's roll on that. Now it tells you to roll 2 dice 6. Let's roll 2 dice 6. We rolled a 7. British Isles. Nope. Yep, British Isles. So April of 1940 is our start date. Roll a 7. Cross-reference brings us to the British Isles. We'll write down British Isles in here. April 40. Brit Isles. Make sure you write that in the April 40 column. What's next? Enter patrol assignment on log sheet, which I've done. Place U-boat marker on display mat beside first travel box of assigned patrol. Display mat. Place it where? Place U-boat marker beside first travel box of, okay, so that would be, oh, that's crew quality. That's that. Here we go. We're not in port anymore. We are now in transit in the Bay of Biscay. Conduct patrol. Here we go. We're going to conduct patrol. So see, we're actually playing as we learn, which is very cool. I hope you're fine again. I considered to buy this game for a long time. Greetings from the Hurtgen Forest. Hey, welcome. Uvalta. Let's see. Yeah, doing better. Thank you for asking. Check for encounters for travel box occupied by consulting the encounter chart. And again, you ask yourself, what in the hey-hoo is the encounter chart? It tells you E1. We find E1 amongst all these charts. And am I covering it up? Yes, E1, the encounter chart E1. So we find the British Isles. We roll 2 dice 6. And see what we get. So we rolled a 5 and we got a ship. We have action already. We have a ship. Consult U-boat and troop patrol assignment. Let's see. I have glare. Why do I have glare? I need to mark this. We have a ship. Let's see. Conduct patrol. Blah, blah, blah. I can check for encounters. If no encounter occurs, repeat this step for the next travel box. So if we had encountered nobody, nothing, nada, we move our little ship here to the next box. As we have encountered a ship, we stay in said box. Resolve encounter. Determine random events if rolled. 12.0. Now, why would we not roll? So see, you can jump ahead here and determine why we would not roll for random events. Big fan of random events. So a random event may occur once per patrol and is triggered when checking for possible encounters. When checking for encounters for each travel box, the first time during a patrol that an unmodified 12 is rolled. Boo. We didn't roll 12, so we will not be able to roll for a random event. Or resolve error or ship encounter. We do have a ship encounter. And also very important to note that engaging ships in combat is voluntary. Even though that is the object of the game, there may be circumstances in which you choose not to encounter a ship. You may perform additional rounds of combat. Okay, so resolve ship encounter, and that is 8.0. Now we are glossing over a couple of things here, so bear that in mind. 8.0 procedure, types of encounters. Roll once per travel box for possible encounter, which we have done. The encounter chart specifies the type of engagement that occurs either against enemy shipping or enemy aircraft. In this case, it's a ship, not a convoy. Combat against ships is always voluntary. Players may decide after identifying the targets to avoid combat altogether. Well, we're not going to avoid it. So that brings us to determining the ship size and ID. So consult the encounter chart. Roll 1 dice 6 for each target ship to determine its general size. Consult the encounter chart, E1. And we need to know the ship size. I am not seeing that on E1. Are you sure about that? Determine ship size and ID. Consult the encounter chart E1 and roll 1 dice 6 for each target ship to determine its general size. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff, but not that. Interesting. Why? Oh, here we go. Determine ship size. Yay! Very bottom of your E1 encounter chart says determine ship size. So we roll 1 dice 6 per ship. We just have a ship. We'll roll 1 dice 6, and that is a small freighter. And there should be here we go, a chit, and there is, for a small freighter. My camera will never focus on that. Probably autofocus is turned off. Small freighter. Put that in the target 1 box. Small freighter. All right. And what's next? Well, it's going to tell you. My mind's starting to drift here. Determine ship size and ID. All right, so to determine each ship's exact size and identity, roll on the appropriate target ship roster to determine the ID and corresponding tonnage size for each target ship. So for a small freighter target roster, that's T1. Small freighter target roster. We are rolling. This is where you do the funky 1d10 plus 1d10. So it's actually like a 66D system. Well, this will be the black will be the 10s and the white will be the 1s. We rolled a 66. Not necessarily indicative of anything. $66 is 5,000 tonnage, and it's a quadruple. 5,000 worth of tonnage. So let me write that down. Target tonnage is 5,000, and the name of it is the Carabule. Carabule? It's like caribou with 2 L's and an E at the end. Carabule. That's what I'm going to say. What do we do next? Next, let's see, for North America patrol assignments. Okay. I'll record the tonnage of each ship on your log sheet, which I have done. As you identify type and size of ship target, select the corresponding target ship marker, which I have done, that will be placed on the U-boat combat mat to resolve combat, as I've done here on the target 1 space. Had we additional targets, we would place them thusly. The circled numbers on the ship markers indicate the amount of damage required to sink the ship. So it takes, this small freighter is going to require 2 increments of damage to sink. Let's see. Once ships have been identified, players may decline to attack. We will not decline. For each engagement, excuse me, consult the encounter chart and roll 1 die 6 to determine the time of day. Day or night right here. Roll 1 die 6. And we get a 5, so it is night. There should be a marker for that. The damage marker, that's not going to help us. Let's see here. Here's our night marker. So day or night box here. We place our night marker. Then what? Moving right along. Once the time of day is determined, place the day-night marker in the U-boat combat mat with the appropriate side face up. When following target ships that are already damaged, that doesn't apply. Arctic patrols. Combat. General rule, combat takes place during a patrol assignment when an encounter occurs or as called upon by a random event. Your objective as U-boat commandant is to target and sink as much enemy shipping as possible while withstanding any possible escort depth charge attack or aircraft attack. Combat against enemy ships is voluntary and may consist of, boy, they sure stress that, don't they? Of several combat rounds, including the possibility to follow a ship or convoy with the hope of engaging it again. No escorts are involved in this case. Player may opt to withdraw from an engagement, blah, 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 no aircraft. Procedure. The U-boat combat mat is used to resolve attacks against enemy ships. Go figure. Once all targets have been identified and placed on the combat mat and the time of day has been determined, the U-boat commandant, in this case Hairbrush, must decide how to conduct the attack or whether or not to attack at all. We will be attacking. Choose between submerged or surface attack. Now, since it's night, I think we could do a surface attack fairly safely, as well as the range to engage the enemy targets. The existence of escorts can have a direct, there are no escorts. Place torpedo and or surface gunnery ammo markers from the U-boat display mat into the torpedo or gun attack box on the combat mat corresponding to the target selected. Let's see. Surface gunnery. So we'll place torpedo or gun attack. Well, let's do this. Forward torpedo there. Doesn't say and or, it just says torpedo or gun attack. And where things are ambiguous or slightly unclear, which is inevitable in any game, if it doesn't say you can do it, don't assume you can do it. Does that make sense? How to conduct the attack, or blah, 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 blah. The existence of a place torpedo or surface gunnery ammo. So we can do both. Let's do that. So we have our deck gun and a torpedo. Resolve U-boat attacks using the U-boat torpedo deck gun fire chart and resolve any hits by checking for any possible torpedo duds on the torpedo dud chart. Don't we need, I think we're skipping things though, so let's go back because we jumped ahead, remember? And don't we need, no, we're good, so we can stay where we're at. But I'm thinking at some point we need to determine range before we determine what we want to do, right? What's the range? Determine the range at which to attack. Is it close? Okay, so here we go. Is it close, medium, or long range? Where do we determine that at? U-boat torpedo deck gun fire chart. Ooh. U-boat damage and repair. That doesn't help. Let's see. I'm trying to find how to determine the range. Let's see. Al Mole, welcome, sir. It's not, it seems complex because I'm rusty on it and I'm not doing it justice. It's really not. Once you learn the initial rules and do at least 1 or 2 playthroughs, it's trust me, I'm making it seem harder than it is. But it's really not. I need to determine what the range is, though. Let's see. Let's read ahead and see what happens. U-boat torpedo deck gun. Let's see. Place torpedo and or the existence of escorts. We don't have those. Place torpedo and or surface. Blah blah blah. Resolve U-boat attacks using the U-boat torpedo deck gun fire chart and resolve any hits by checking for possible. To determine the amount of damage, we don't do that yet. Place all target ship markers in U-boat combat mat. Let's see, the amount of damage. Some target can be ignored. Not all ship markers must be targeted for attack. We only have 1 ship marker. Place the day and night. We've done that. Place the range marker in the appropriate box that corresponds to the range. What the hell is the range? So we should have a range marker as well, no? Where's that at? Range. Here we go. Where are we, though? Close, medium, or long? Air attack, wolf pack, blah, blah, blah. I guess we determine that ourselves. It's not something you roll for, because I'm not seeing where it's specified, excuse me, to randomly determine what the range is. So do we just decide that ourselves? We may have to do that. So again, we place torpedo and or surface gunnery ammo markers from the U-boat display mat into the torpedo or gun attack box, which we have done on the combat mat, and resolve any hits by checking for any possible torpedo duds. Blah, 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 blah. Determine amount of damage. Mark your patrol log sheet. No escorts. There are 4 numbered columns. Not all ship markers must be targeted. Okay, next page. Verified all that. Place the day-night marker. We've done so. Place the range marker in the appropriate box that corresponds to the range the U-boat will use to engage the enemy ships. Medium. Place the escort marker, and we don't have escorts. No air attack needed to worry about. Now, wolf pack box is only used for wolf pack patrols. This is not a wolf pack patrol. Roll to determine the status of the convoy escorts. There are no escorts. And place the appropriate Wolfpack escort marker in the Wolfpack box. Place the incoming hits marker alongside the incoming hits on the U-boat track. So conducting ship combat. Decide if the U-boat will be firing forward and or aft torpedoes. That would be forward. Using both in the same round will make you easier to detect. Place torpedoes in the torpedo or gun attack box on the combat mat. All torpedoes must be placed on the combat mat. So you can do 2? I will do 2. What about that? Placed in the combat mat before rolling to see if the first torpedo hits. And again, there's an illustrated example here to help you suss things out. If firing at close range against ships with escort, that's not the case. If a medium or long range, you always fire your torpedo salvo prior to checking for escort detection. If you are detected at close range, return the torpedoes to your U-boat display mat. If not detected initially at close range, so if these cases don't apply to you, obviously just skip ahead. Roll for each torpedo fired on the U-boat torpedo deck gun fire chart to determine if any hits are scored. Note the probability of scoring a hit increases based on shorter range to the target ship. Certain modifiers may also apply. These are listed on the chart. So here's our U-boat torpedo deck gun fire chart. We're at medium range. What we roll 2 dice 6, adding them together, not as the tens type deal. So for the first torpedo, unless I'm doing this wrong, we have a hit. And what about the next torpedo? We have a miss. So one hit and one miss. Roll for each torpedo that scored a hit. We have one hit. The probability of a dud as a reflection of torpedo type and date. And I would add that in silent victory, you deal with a lot of duds because, for whatever reason, the torpedoes, or at least the early part of the Pacific theater, sucked, to put it bluntly. Consult the torpedo dud chart. So this is a G7A, 1940, January, April. So on a roll of 1 or 2, it's a dud. So we want a 3, a 4, a 5, or 6. It is not a dud. For any of your torpedoes that hit and are not duds, you now roll for damage on the attack damage chart. U3 attack damage chart. Roll 1 dice 6. We have a 5. What does that mean? 4 or more for a torpedo is 1 point of damage. How do we note that? We have damage markers. Might I acquire a damage marker, kind sir? There's one. This ship is halfway to being sunk. 1 damage, or how about this? Just move it down to the 1 damage. How about that? See how I did that? The 1 damage slot. So target 1 point of damage moves down to the 1 damage. These torpedoes go away because they are now spent. What about our deck gun? Can we fire with our deck gun? And probably not. Here's my assumption. I'll try and find this. Probably won't be able to fire the deck gun at medium or long range. I'm thinking that's going to be a close range only thing, but I need verification on that. Skimming through. Skimming is your friend because you don't want to reread the entire rules every time you want to find something, right? I suppose the index is your friend as well. What about let's see if we can find deck guns. No, not listed in the index. And there's a lot that we didn't have to do because we just have a single lone ship, right? So if there was an escort involved, we would have to roll to see if we were detected, and then we could be fired at. Or am I mistaken? Let's read this. If firing at close range, blah, blah, blah. If medium or long range, you always fire your torpedo salvo prior to checking. So do we check for it? There's no escort, though. So how can we check for escort detection? So that doesn't happen. Roll for each torpedo fired. We've done that. Determine hits. We've done that. Note damage. We've done that. Wasn't a dud. All right, surface gunnery and ammo. U-boats conducting surface attacks against unescorted ships are eligible to use their deck gun in conjunction with or in lieu of torpedo salvo fire. Wouldn't be able to use our deck guns if escorts are present. The U-boat display mat lists the total ammo capacity for the deck gun. Okay, so the range doesn't matter. We're going to roll on again on the torpedo / deck gun fire chart. We will be rolling 2 dice 6 for our deck gun. We rolled a 6, 4, 5, 6 at medium range. 7 or less is a hit. Okay. Why does that say 2? Each ammo marker is represented with a 1 or a 2, indicating the number of ammo points or rounds that the marker represents. Up to 2 points of ammo can be fired per combat round. So we can fire again with our deck gun. And what do we get this time? 6, 7, 8, 10. And that is going to be a miss. 1 hit, 1 miss. So now we roll. We don't need to roll for dud, right? Because it's not a torpedo. So now we roll on a damage chart. And we have... What do we have? We roll 1, not 2, sorry. Damage chart with a 3 is, for the deck gun, 1 damage, and guess what? That is enough because he only has 1 left. We sunk the guy. So 1 torpedo hit, and then our deck gun took care of the rest of them, so he's gone. Total tonnage sunk, that's going to equal 5,000 tons at the bottom of the ocean. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'll run through some more of the rules briefly, and we'll replay this, what just occurred, except with an escort. So we can experience what it's like to be fired at. And then we'll call it. So what do the remaining rules consist of? They consist of unescorted ship targets, which we just did. So yeah, when there's no escort detection, so I did that correctly. However, I could have chosen close range freely with no problems. Additional, if for whatever reason an unescorted target was not sunk during the initial round, you can choose to initiate an additional round, which I did. And there is no limit to the number of additional rounds of combat against unescorted targets. However, once escorts appear as a result of the encountered die roll, no additional round of combat can be attempted following the round they appear. Night surface attack. If the counter is at night, the player conducts a night surface attack. And then you deal with escort detections and depth charges following an escorted ship or convoy. Aircraft encounters. U-boat damage. Lots of stuff there. And then your crew experience, promotions, decorations, which I've already stated, and your optional rules. So let's run through this again, assuming 2 things. We're going to assume that we rolled a 12 for our encounter. Our encounter will consist this time of a ship and escort. Let me find the escort. Put this back. We'll start over even with the ammo as well. Pretend like what just happened never occurred. Where's my torpedoes? Here we go. So we rolled a 12, right? And we need to roll on the random events charts, having done so. And again, this is all conjecture, right? So we roll 2 dice 6. And we want to see what random event, what juicy, tasty random event is going to occur. Roll a 6. Spare parts received from sister ship. Your boat receives spare parts from a passing sister ship. Immediately repair up to 2 inoperable systems on your U-boat display mat. If no systems are currently inoperable, ignore this event. And just for purposes of making your mouth water, other potential random events can include superior torpedoes, gyro compass failure, caught unawares, yes, unawares, plural, man overboard, Luftwaffe recon, weather reporting duty, torpedo breaks loose, severe storm, and swim call are all potential random events you might have to deal with. So let's back up, hit the reverse, and head to how to deal with, we'll assume this is a small freighter again as well, but we need to work on what our escort entails. So we'll also assume that it is still night and leave it at that. Where is where it deals with escorts? Same deal. We're going to fire two. I'm going to say we're going to do a surface. No, you can't do a surface attack because there's an escort. Remember? I remember. So it has to be submerged. So we're submerged. Target one. What the hell happened to the... Where's the escort marker? It just disappeared. What? Where have you gone, sir? Where's the damn... I've lost my escort. Which you would think would be a good thing. But it is not. Where's the... All right. I feel like I'm losing some of you here, and I don't blame you. Escorts. Escort detection. U-boats engaging enemy ships under escort must roll for escort detection. This roll occurs prior to conducting fire. From close range, and again after firing if the U-boat was not detected before firing. Fire for medium and long range U-boat may fire first and must then roll for escort detection. Let's say this is long range. I still don't know. Well, that's very curious to me where the hell that... Here it is. Jesus. Escort. All right. So we're at long range, and I'm going to go ahead and fire. And then we'll have to determine if we're detected, right? No? Yes? Maybe so. So same deal. We roll 2d6. For our first torpedo, we get a 7. At long range is a miss. Roll for our second, we get a 7 again, which is also a miss. Deck gun will not apply since we're submerged. We fired 2 torpedoes that have missed. There's no point in rolling to determine if they're duds. But we must now roll for escort detection. So to check for escort detection, we will add or subtract all the modifiers listed under the escort detection chart, which is our E2 chart. E2, bingo. There's our E1. Where the hell? E2, escort detection chart. Let's see. Just like that, huh? Roll 2d6. Okay, rolling. Roll 2d6, we get a 9. Under the E2 escort detection chart, a 9 or less means or rather a 9 to 11 means we are detected. Where's our modifiers at for this? Hold on. Wait a second here. So you do, just to go back though, you do select range. You don't roll for that. Select submerged, attack, or night. I've already selected submerged. So I'm reading off of the combat versus escorted ships here real quick. Assign torpedoes to ship targets. Select submerged. Okay, fire torpedoes, escort, attempt detection. Decide if U-boat will exceed test depth. Not available for first round if night surface attack. Well, we're not gonna roll for detection by escorts, which we did, but where's our modifiers? Okay, here's our modifiers. So if it's 1941, 42, or 43, there's a modifier. It is 1940, so those don't apply. Here's other modifiers. Fuel tanks damaged, no. Dive planes out, no. Capital ship, no. Torpedo during the day, no. Previously detected, no. Close range, no. Night surface attack, no. Firing forward aft, first round, yes. That's a +1, which only aids in our being detected. Remember, we rolled a 9, so we're already detected. Long range, -1. We are at long range, so that goes back to 9. Are we exceeding test depth? No. Commandant. So KMDT is the commandant. Is KCO or S? Now, none of those. What about is our commandant SW? Or is our commandant N1 WORSW? What are these SW acronyms? Okay. Commandant is KC plus O plus S. What the hell does that mean? That means that the commandant has been awarded the Knight's Cross with oak leaves and swords. So basically is a highly decorated, experienced, savvy veteran. That is not me. Herr Brush is raw. He's trained, but he's fairly raw. All right, so we are detected. Now what happens? If U-boat is detected, so it tells you right here, right? If U-boat is detected, go to step 10. If never detected, go to step 9. So we skipped into step 9, go to step 10. We roll for hits. Detected U-boat is depth charged. We roll for hits on the E3 chart. E3 chart is here. Escort air attack chart. Roll 2 dice 6. Rolling 5. 1 hit. Okay. Determine damage. E4. Go to E4. U-boat damage chart. Roll once for each hit taken. And you're going to roll 1 dice 6 plus 1 dice 6, which is the weird 66 system. And we rolled a 62. Our aft torpedo door has taken damage. Aft torpedo door. Find that on the U-boat type mat. Find a damage marker and place that on the aft torpedo door. So, without looking that up, I will assume that's going to affect, if not prevent me from firing torpedoes from my aft tube. Sounds like a personal problem. If flooding occurred, let's see, determine damage E4, we did. There's the types of damage that you can experience, right? Crew injury, flooding, batteries, periscope, dive planes, electric engine, diesel engine, flak guns, hull damage, deck gun, minor damage, radio, hydrophones. So that's that. Detect U-boat is not sunk. If flooding occurred, roll 1 dice signal. Return to step 8. Why? Return to step 8 to check for escort detection. Why are we doing that? We've already done that. Let's start another round, eh? And for this round, we'll do some, this is probably going to irritate everybody. Just for this round. Let me know if that's too loud. There's that. Let's load up more. We've got 2 torpedoes left in the forward tubes, and we're going to reload our 4 remaining torpedoes in the forward tubes. We are submerged still, so we can't fire our deck guns, but we will fire our torpedo. Let's see, let's move to medium range and see what happens. And we're going to roll 2d6. 6, 7, 8, 9 for medium range is a miss. And for the second torpedo, we rolled a 5, which is a hit. We're firing at this small freighter, which is 5,000 tons. Excuse me. And we need to know if it's a dud, right? So we roll 1 dice 6. We rolled a 2 for 1940 GA, G7A. Damn if it's not a dud. So we're screwed again there. Now we need to roll again for escort detection with some new modifiers, right? So escort detection chart, roll 2 dice 6. We've got an 8. 8 or less. So far, we are undetected, but we have to work in our modifiers. Previously detected, yes. That becomes a 9, which means we're detected. Close range, no. So we would have gone undetected, but because they detected us in the last round, we're detected again. So go back to here to our combat versus escorted ships chart on the U-boat combat mat and see what happens. Hopefully nothing too awful. If any targets were damaged, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to exceed test depth. Roll for detection. We did. If U-boat is detected, go to step 10. Roll for hits, E3. Here's 2 dice 6. We rolled a 5, and that is 1 hit. What's our die roll modifiers on the hits? Fuel tanks hit, no. Hydrophones out, no. Batteries damaged, no. Per electric engine damage, no. Night surface attack, no. 43, no. Rolled 12 on detection, no. Air attack, no. So it's just 1 hit. What is the damage? We roll the funky 1 die plus 1 die. We get a 54. We have major flooding. Oh, great. It says, not only does it say flooding, we have flooding times 2. I don't think this is going to be very good. Let's find out what flooding 2 means. Oh, jeez. U-boat damage. Flooding. For the first flooding hit scored, placed a flooding marker in the first space on the flooding damage track on your U-boat display MOT. Where is a flooding marker? I don't think I have one of those yet. I guess I never experienced flooding the last time I played. Is the sonar too loud? It's just for this round. Flooding, here we go. Does that mean 2 flooding markers? We'll find out. I need information here. I need real-time information. We're flooding as we speak. For each additional flooding hit taken, advance the flooding marker 1 space to the right on the flooding damage track. Now maybe that's what it means, times 2. So flooding, and then to the second mark. If we go all the way to the right, we're forced to surface with the flooding deal. So that's what that means, huh? Following any combat round in which the U-boat sustained at least one flooding damage result, we have to check for additional. So this is our first time we've sustained this. So we're good. Let's do another round. And if nobody's complaining too loudly about the sonar, I'll leave that go. It adds to the nervousness and stress. Very important when playing games, nervousness and stress. Okay, so let's do another couple torpedoes from our front tube. We're still submerged. Let's move to close range. I want to sink this ship. So close range to hit, we roll 2 dice 6, par usual. We get a 4. 8 or less is a hit. That's one hit for one torpedo. 12. We roll a 12. That's a miss. So one hit, one miss. Also, the 12 thing, does that spark a random event? You know, whether it does or not, I'm going to say it does. And here's where I'm fudging. Let's see what happens, because I love random events. 8. Luftwaffe Recon. A long-range reconnaissance aircraft identifies a single target ship for you. Immediately roll to determine ship size and ID to resolve the event. Ignore this event for the Caribbean, North America, or West African coast. Let's ignore that, because we have enough to deal with without worrying about hitting another ship. And focus on the ship at hand. So we have one. We need to roll if it's a dud. I don't think I've had a hit on the ship yet, right? Rolling 1 dice 6. Please don't be a dud. It is not a dud. We have a hit. Determine attack damage. We roll 1 dice 6. We get a 3. And for a torpedo is 2 damage. We sunk the thing, which is awesome. But we still have an escort to deal with. However, we can just scoot out of here after this round, assuming they don't detect us again. So escort detection chart, we're rolling 2 dice 6. We rolled a 12. That is definitely a detection. And even with any modifiers we could possibly come up with, which are only going to actually hurt, will be detected regardless. So now we roll on the escort air attack chart, rolling 2 dice 6. We get a 4, which is again one hit, and we roll for the damage, which is 1 dice 6 plus 1 dice 6, and we get a 56. That is deck gun damage. So they're picking us apart piecemeal. And at this point, I'm out of here. We also have to roll, remember, deck gun. Where's our deck gun? It's damaged. I'll put it here. Status. So there's our status for our deck gun. It's damaged. We have to roll again for the flooding deal. When the flooding marker enters the final space that has not, following any combat round in which the U-boat sustained at least one flooding damage result, the U-boat must check for additional flooding damage. Roll 1 dice 6 with a 5 or 6. Okay, we didn't get a 5 or 6. If we had, we would have additional flooding. So the flooding is being controlled, which is good. And I'm assuming we can just get out of here. Is that assumption correct? What's up, John Longshore? Been a minute. Let's see, patrol abort. You can do that. So certain results require your U-boat to abort patrol as a direct result of a damaged system becoming inoperable, which is not really the case here. So more specifically, my question is, I'm nearly certain we can skedaddle. However, will the escort follow us? Is my more specific question. I'm not seeing that. Following us, generally once the initial combat round is completed, the encounter ends and the player advances his U-boat marker to the next travel box. However, if a player wishes to continue to engage an escorted ship or convoy, there's nothing to follow or engage because I sunk it. Because again, following is not permitted against unescorted ships. U-boats that have been detected can perhaps even damaged by escorts can attempt to follow the ships or convoy previously engaged. So nothing there. Nothing there. If it was a convoy, we could follow it. Well, I want to know if the escort can follow us. And I'm not seeing that stated, so my assumption will be no. If you don't see it listed, assume you can't do it. I'll go ahead and end the sonar, and that was hopefully a decent example of combat, and that's when the fun stuff happens, right? And as fun as it is to target ships and sink them, to be honest with you, the real fun has to do with being attacked. It's a weird kind of masochistic mechanic that takes place in the game. There will be times when you don't have encounters, and we would move to the next box, which is transit. Again, there will be times when you move to a box and you have no encounters. As stated or demonstrated rather in the first round of combat, there will be times when you just have lone ships that you take pot shots at, which is kind of a feel-good occurrence. But the real fun and Sturm and Drang occurs when there's escorts and you're trying to knock out ships whilst trying not to be knocked out yourself. That's where the intensity and fun comes in. The replayability of this thing is almost infinite, I guess, until you get tired of submarines. Otherwise, you can do campaigns, different areas to patrol. There's look at the charts. You've got, I don't even do the math. You've got 100, 200, 3, 4, 5, nearly 600 different target ships you can attempt to sink. And these are all ships that were historically sunk during World War II, at least up until, what, 43, right? If you get tired of the type of submarine you're using, you have 7 other different types of subs you can employ. Again, you can get awards and medals, and you can level up, as it were, as a commander. And when all of that's said and done, and you still find yourself hungry for more, you have the Hunted, in which the Germans become the Hunted. You have the Pacific Theater, Silent Victory. You have another module that deals with the Mediterranean Theater. So at this point in the demonstration, I hopefully was able to demonstrate, which was primarily the goal of this video, to show how what may seem to be an involved, intimidating game isn't necessarily so, and even just hopping into the rules as we did allowed us almost immediate play. It wasn't until page 6 of the rules, which went quickly, that we encountered the 6.0 sequence of play and effectively begun play, which is very cool. You do not need to read every word of this entire thing and then sit down and start trying to play. It is not required. So any questions anybody might have, now's the time. Again, I appreciate everybody that has watched and will watch once this is posted. Also, feel free to list your thoughts at the bottom of this video regarding sub games, your faves, the ones you hate. I think, and again, obviously I haven't played every sub game out there, which there are no shortage of. In fact, I also have this guy regarding subs. That might be it. And, you know, I'm not the biggest naval fan, but when I do naval stuff, it's the sub stuff that interests me most. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I have any other sub stuff. So feel free to respond accordingly below this video with your favorites and any thoughts you might have having played the Hunters yourself. The game is very tight. The rules are, I didn't have too many problems, even having not played in a while. There were a couple of things that slowed me up a bit. But again, as you saw, I hopped right in fairly quickly and was having fun. in no time. So thank you guys for watching. If nobody has anything to say or ask, I'll go ahead and end this stream. All right. You guys take care. Happy Mother's Day. I'll talk to you next time.